So this will be the final modeling tutorial, like for explicitly modeling. I'll do some other stuff for sure, but after this video I'll try and go through some modeling examples. I'll see if I can figure out some Lego and bike examples. It shouldn't be too hard. So for now, there's just one more thing that I want to show you guys. So if we go over to the Model tab, the work features. This is extremely useful. I found this very useful in doing the complex shapes in that bike that I built. Most specifically the frame and all the features that had to loft, sweep, sort of any of those features that are really complex and have many different cross sections. For example, you're going to need work planes, axis, points, and to play around with the UCS. It's sort of just like scaffolding for your drawing. You can think of it that way. You just build up a set of work features, and then you can sketch and model off of those. So let's start off with making our default work features visible. Okay, now if we want to make another plane, I've been using this feature but I haven't really explained it too much. If we want to make a plane, we need a plane first off, so we can use one of the default planes, or if we had a solid in here with a flat face, we could use that plane, and we can just build a plane off that. So we'll click and drag, and then it opens up this box so we can offset it. So let's say 1 inch offset. So there, now we've got 2 planes. Now these are infinite in space. Like they extend in all directions. I'll show you what I mean. If I were to sketch on here, I don't have to just sketch on the rectangle, or on the on the rectangle. The plane extends all the way in all these directions, sort of. It's an infinite plane. So same with axes, they're infinite. So that's how we make a new plane, and then we could sketch off that, or we could sketch off these planes. But to create a new sketch, we need a plane to work off. So that's either going to be a face of a part, a face like a flat face, or a plane work feature. Now axis, we've got our default axes here, but if we want to make a new one, we're going to need something to make it off of. So an easy way to do that is to make a sketch and to make an axis off of a line. So now we've got a line here. Let's pick a good view. Okay, now if we hit axis and we click here, there, we've made an axis there, a work axis. You can see it in the model tree here. So we've got a work axis along that line. So we can always, if we're sketching, we can always snap to that. We could project that onto other planes. It's a useful tool to build off of. Point. Once again, we need something in a sketch to make a point. So if we have a point like the end of a line, we can create a point there. We've got a default point at the origin. We can always snap to that. But now if we're in a different plane and we don't have any snapping points and we need one, we can just create a point like that. So this is a 3D point. I don't know if I covered it, but in the sketch tab there's a 2D point. So when you're doing your sketches, you can make a 2D working point, but this is a 3D point, so we can snap to it from any direction in space. Final thing to cover is UCS. So the default UCS, its user coordinate system is what it stands for. So the default is, that's the origin, and then we've got our Z, X, and Y planes, or axes, and then their corresponding planes. But if we want to change that up, let's actually, I'll show you a real example of this. So if we go back and make a sketch here, let's make it rectangular. And I'll rotate it just a bit. Okay, so I made this rectangle. Get rid of this. Oh, I say a different sketch. Okay, so finish that sketch. So I've got this rectangle. If I want to make a new UCS, that's in this plane, by the way. Sort of hard to see the 3D on a 2D screen, so the orbit tool helps. So there we go. We've got this rectangle. Now if I want to make my UCS based off of that, right now this is the origin, and then we've got, I don't know, X, Y, and Z or something. So We could snap it to this corner, or we can enter it manually. Now specify the direction of the x-axis, let's say this line. Oh, it can't be a sketch. Okay, sorry. First we need to make axes. So work axes, there's one, and there's one. So now we'll go back into UCS, pick the origin. So we could specify an absolute value for the x, y, and z coordinates of the origin, or we could pick a point to snap to. Now specify the direction of the x-axis. Why won't this work? Okay, there we go. We could just pick an endpoint. So there's x, and then now y-axis, and now it automatically will make the z-axis because it has to be perpendicular to both the x and the y. So now if we're working off this UCS, that might be useful. So this is really only useful as like a working feature. We're not actually making anything with these axes or these user coordinate systems. It's just helpful so we can sketch things. Say, for example, if our whole drawing wasn't orthogonal on the standard x, y, and z, we could line up the x, y, and z towards our drawing and just make everything easier to snap to when we're sketching. So next video, I'm going to try and do a Lego piece example. So that should use a few of the modeling tools that I went over. I'll just do some more examples from there. And then we'll move into the drafting and assembly, which are also great features. So stay tuned.